Hey, baby, we're going to be here all day.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is.
This is Spittin' Facts with Zack
and Kyle.
I will not tolerate players that think it's about them when it's about the team.
To all the non-believers. To all the non-believers.
The sports podcast about the important issues in New York and national sports.
We are not a charity. We cannot give them the game.
And still.
Just facts.
So get your facts straight.
Now, here's Zack.
Can't wait.
Yes, this is Zack, back again with my friend Kyle. How you doing this morning, Kyle?
Good morning, Zack. I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm good. The weather has just been so consistently bad recently.
It's been pretty emo.
Yeah, it could be nice sometimes, but most of the time recently it's just been in the 40s and raining, and you don't want to do anything outside. It's like just warm enough to maybe want to play basketball, but then it starts raining, or then it gets, by nighttime it's freezing.
Yesterday was really nice, and today was trash.
And then over the weekend it was really wet and rainy, and then on Saturday it's going to be nice, but like 25.
Hey, at least there's no snow.
I would prefer snow. Would you not prefer snow over 40s and rain?
I just can't get around as easily as I would like to get around when there's snow on the ground.
Well, yeah, and your two-wheel drive car, for sure. So
that's it.
Yeah, weather's definitely been bad, but not as bad as the Houston Astros, especially this morning. The Astros had their big press conference this morning, where they had months to prepare a statement as a team and as an organization. And the product that they gave us in this press conference this morning, honestly, was a complete embarrassment to Major League Baseball, to the sport of baseball.
It's fans.
The fans of baseball and sports in general.
Or just anyone with common sense and a well-decency of a person.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, anyone that has accountability as a human, honestly.
Anyone who's made a mistake in their life.
Yeah.
Which is everyone.
The lack of accountability from this Astros organization is, to me, even more egregious than the crime itself.
I like that. It's a good way to put it.
Because if they had just come out in this press conference and at other times and admitted their mistake and understood what they did was wrong and was cheating the game, you would have a little bit more. There'd be a little bit more sympathy, or not necessarily sympathy,
compassion, sympathy.
You'd be able to move on.
Sure.
And this is not going away anytime soon, and I think a lot of that is because of how they're handling the scandal. There's just no accountability. It was maddening to watch. So they bring out two players to speak in this press conference. Bregman comes out and speaks for about 30 seconds and just says, we were wrong, I was wrong, and we're just going to, just move on from this. Of course, you want to move on for this. No one else wants to move on from this. Obviously, you do. Then Altuve comes out, basically says the same thing and says, we're going to just try really hard this year and compete with intensity and win the 2020 World Series. That's not the first time that he's talked about winning the World Series this year. No one cares about what you're going to do this year. We all care about what you did over the last 3 seasons. And then Jim Crane speaks. I just thought Jim Crane couldn't have come off like a more smug, arrogant douchebag.
Yeah, I didn't really like much from what I saw with the Astros press conference today. It was very smug, and none of the players or owners seemed remorseful in any way. They seemed very tone deaf. I think you had mentioned that.
The whole thing was
so tone deaf. And the one thing I said was doesn't Alex Bregman just totally remind you of someone in Kappa Sig?
Yeah, I love that. That's the arrogance.
He's such a frat boy.
Yeah.
So arrogant. All he cares about is the boys.
and this makes him hitting the home run in the World Series and carrying the bat to first base even piss me off even more.
It's just such a douchebag.
It's such a dude, and makes what Soto did by then responding with the home run and doing the same thing, even doper.
So
continues to make everything about what the Nationals did last year
look even better. Yeah,
that much more awesome. So would you say that if you had an elaborate scheme that allowed you to have a much greater understanding about which pitch that you were going to see, as your experience just playing baseball at the level that you've played, if you knew what pitch was coming, I feel like you'd have a much better chance at hitting the ball right?
Definitely,
Like-
but also bear in mind, like, the highest level of baseball I played, kids were just throwing curveballs.
Okay. But from what you know about
Right.
baseball,
From what I know, yeah, that would be very beneficial. I would almost feel scummy as a player if I knew that. If I was the batter and my coach or a bench coach or the manager or someone on the team is just like, yo, put on this earpiece or like this put this thing on your body, so
or just listen to these, or just
Right.
listen to this.
or just listen. Here's some sort of signal where you will know if it's a fastball or a curveball. I would be like, wait, like, what? I think in the moment I would just be like, this is weird.
And then you almost get reliant on the signs and forget how to even identify what's coming.
Right.
You're just relying on the signs. So obviously, anyone with common sense would understand that doing that and getting these signs illegally would give you an advantage. Everyone in the world thinks that,
But the Astros.
except for Jim Crane. So this is what Jim Crane had to say about exactly how he interprets what the sign stealing meant for the team and how it impacted their organization and what it should mean and how people should feel about their team.
Our opinion is that this didn't impact the game. We had a good team. We won the World Series, and we'll leave it at that.
So that's him saying that he doesn't believe the sign stealing impacted the game. And yeah, we won the World Series and whatever. We'll just leave it at that.
It's a joke.
That's such a joke.
a
If
joke.
it didn't impact the game, then why would you go out of your way to break the rules deliberately? If it didn't impact the game, it clearly gave you an advantage, or else you wouldn't be doing it.
I look, you just thought this whole press conference thing was such a shit show, and it almost made everything worse.
100% made everything worse.
Everything worse, and it's like sort of what I was saying. Like, just don't come out and say anything unless you're just going to be completely transparent and super honest. Then just don't say anything at all. You're going to make it worse. Baseball fans aren't stupid. They love statistics. They're so
the
nerdy.
Astros are treating us like we're morons.
Exactly. It's just like, do they really think that? It's almost like they're playing the victim card.
Yeah, that's like a good point too. So what you're saying is they shouldn't get out and said anything. That's also not okay, but it's better than saying what they did.
Yeah, it's better
what
than
they
this.
just should do is actually come out, taking responsibility for it. We take the L on this. Like, it's up to you guys to decide like what you think about the 2017 season, and we broke the rules, we got an advantage, and we can't take it back, but we're gonna move on. They're basically saying they were going to move on, but what we did really didn't even have an impact on anything, and it's really not that big a deal. So we just heard Jim Crane verbatim say, our opinion is that this didn't impact the game. Less than a minute later, when Jeff Passan asked Jim Crane to follow up on what he said about it not impacting the game, this is what Jim Crane said less than a minute later.
Jim, when talking about the Yankees there, did you say you feel like this didn't impact the game? And what do you mean by that?
I didn't say it didn't impact the game. Our opinion is
I didn't. You just said that.
Maybe a minute and 30 seconds ago. Ouch. It's a bad look.
That also just proves he doesn't even know what the hell he's saying.
It kind of just proves that, like, I feel like they don't even know what they're doing, and like they felt that this sort of press conference would quarrel like the situation, but it just almost ignited it even more, and just people were really pissed off. Like think of all of the guys, all the sports writers there with a Hall of Fame vote who are now really pissed off at every single player on the Astros. Mm-hmm. Everyone who has these votes, who are probably pissed off at Altuve, they're probably pissed off at Bregman. Like, I'm actually curious to see what their legacy is now after all this fallout.
How about this question? Well, Carlos Beltran. He's not a slam dunk Hall of Famer, but clearly has a case to be in the Hall of Fame. We've seen guys like the steroid guys who we know that were involved in some sort of cheating, and their legacy and ability to get in the Hall of Fame has clearly been impacted. How does this affect Carlos Beltran's Carlos Beltran's ability to get in the Hall of Fame?
That's a good question. I think we'll find out when he's eligible.
Because I feel like the writers were pissed about this.
Totally.
And it's clear that he had some sort of impact on cheating, whether or not that. I mean, I doubt that he was doing this and inspiring this his entire career.
No, I hope that this wasn't a thing on other teams.
But the fact that he's involved with this at some level, I would feel like has to impact his Hall of Fame candidacy to a certain degree.
Probably, for sure. Yeah, I think it will. Whenever he's on the ballot, it'll be very interesting to see his percentage of votes because that'll be pretty telling on all the other Astros players who are still currently playing.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
And just more from this, they're saying that it didn't impact the game. And
The Astros are saying it didn't, which is
the
a
Astros are
joke.
saying that it did impact the game, and they're also saying that the player, well, he keeps referring to how the players shouldn't be held accountable, but at the same time keeps referring to the commissioner's report. And in the commissioner's report, all it does is say that it was a player-driven scheme. So he's saying that it wasn't the player's fault, but he's also saying that he himself keeps saying that I shouldn't be held accountable. You're the owner of the team, and therefore should and are having an impact on everyone below you. You're hiring those people. Someone was responsible for this, and you hired someone that either was responsible or that person was responsible for hiring that person or signing that person that had an impact in doing this and did this. So this was another piece from the press conference today. They were saying, why are you even here? Like, what is even the point of this press conference if you're just denying that it had an impact on anything, and you're denying that you had any accountability and the players had any accountability?
Jim, sign stealing is a distinct advantage for the hitter. So how is it that it doesn't affect competition? So then what are you guys apologizing for?
We're apologizing because we broke the rules.
But isn't sign stealing a distinct advantage for the hitter, so doesn't it automatically impact competition?
It could possibly do that. It could possibly not.
That's an embarrassing answer, the second part. Obviously, it's a distinct advantage for the hitter. And also, we're apologizing because we broke the rules.
Like,
it's
bitch,
literally
please.
saying we're apologizing because we got caught and we have no remorse for doing it.
Yep, that's
like,
what
that's
they're saying.
so frustrating.
We're apologizing because we got caught. Oh, man.
And
that's exactly what he just said.
You guys obviously can't see this. Look at the look on his face. I want to punch Jim Crane in the face.
Yeah, he's just like, why can't I just be on a beach drinking my pina colada in the sun right now?
Like, oh my God.
He's just like, I have to deal with this crap.
It's, oh my God, the arrogancy of this team. It's unbelievable. And, you know, you had heard the rumblings of them being an arrogant and smug organization before this.
Oh, well, of course. Do you remember all the stuff that happened in the postseason with the assistant GM and that whole... that was so arrogant.
Yeah,
how they mishandled that and they dropped the ball on that.
I almost forgot about that, right? With everything else has been
that
going
was
on.
so smug. This female reporter was being harassed, and the Astros vehemently denied those allegations, and then everyone else who was in the locker room supported what the female reporter ended up saying, and we're like, the Astros were completely in the wrong, and then they had to release a follow-up statement saying how their first statement was just they dropped the ball. It was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible.
It's this
They're
whole
very smug.
This whole thing has been terrible. And, you know, Talking Jake actually has an amazing tweet.
Love Talking Jake.
Yeah. So
shout out to Talking Jake.
So he goes, if I steal $100 million from Jim Crane's bank account, then shouldn't it matter because I don't think that it affected Jim Crane? Just like,
that's so funny.
It's all up to you, like whether or not you think it affected it. But obviously that would have an effect on Jim Crane, and obviously this has an effect on baseball and the integrity of the game completely.
Yeah, what do you think about the state of baseball right now?
State of baseball is in trouble.
One word. In trouble? Okay, that's good.
One word? What's your one word? I'll think of my one.
I don't know. I got to think of one. One word.
You can't ask me that question.
I don't know,
Okay,
chaos. Chaotic. That kind of comes to mind.
Uncertainty.
It's a good one.
I think that moving forward, it's going to be really interesting to see how the public that does in fact enjoy baseball feels about baseball moving forward. You know, I'm still excited about the Mets, but this just leaves an awful stain in baseball moving forward. Like, think about this. What if on opening day Altuve goes 4 for 5 with 2 homers? Well, you're automatically suspecting that something is fishy.
Right. It's just weird.
And we want to talk about the state of baseball. We're still waiting for the resolution of this Astros or the Red Sox cheating investigation. They said it was going to be this week. Now they're saying it's not going to be until next week. Pitchers and catchers have already reported spring training is starting soon.
The 22nd, I think.
21st, 22nd, something like that. Mm-hmm. And they still don't even know what the resolution is for that cheating investigation. The Red Sox were waiting for the resolution from this investigation. The investigation concluded to hire a manager, and it basically got to the point where they just had to hire somebody to go into spring training, so they hire Ron Renicky, the bench coach from Cora, in the Cora's regime, And they say out of, quote, respect to the investigation, they're giving an interim tag.
I'm fine.
So
with
I don't
that.
even know what that means for him moving forward. It's weird to hire someone from the same staff that's being investigated for cheating to then hire someone from that staff moving forward. I don't think anyone really has an idea what's going to come from that scandal moving forward.
We are in uncharted waters, baby.
Yeah, and that's a good point, too, because people are talking about how, you can't take away the title from the Astros, which I was of the belief of that a couple weeks ago. As a whole, I still do agree with that. But at the same time, we're in uncharted territory.
Like, nobody knows what's going to happen, even the experts, because just no one's ever seen anything like this before.
And so that's why you could
vacate?
You could vacate the title because we've never seen anything like this before.
It would be crazy. How crazy would that be? Yeah. Insane.
I just found this too. This is also what Bregman and Altuve had to say. If you haven't heard it, it's also not worth hearing, but it is at the same time because of just how ridiculously tone deaf.
Makes your blood boil.
It does, especially Bregman. And Altuve also is tone deaf in the fact that no one cares about you winning the 2020 World Series. We care about what's happened over the last 3 seasons.
It's just like, tell us what you did and how you did it, rather than just say, oh, we're sorry.
Exactly.
We're sorry.
Exactly.
Brief remarks that I'd like to share with y'all. I am really sorry about the choices that were made by my team, by the organization, and by me. I have learned from this, and I hope to regain the trust of baseball fans. I would also like to thank the Astros fans for all of their support. We as a team are totally focused on moving forward to the 2020 season. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy, and thank you, Alex. I also will be brief. We had a great team meeting last night, and I want to say that the whole Astros organization and the team feel bad about what happened in 2017. We especially feel remorse for the impact in our fans and the game of baseball, and our team is determined to move forward, to play with intensity, and to bring back a championship to Houston in 2020. Thank you.
Like, playing with intensity this year doesn't make this go away. I think that's just a hilarious quote in itself.
I think the players think, if we just win a lot, people will forget about this. I almost feel like that will amplify the situation even more.
Arguments for both sides.
Yeah.
So the Patriots, I feel like, have gotten away with their, whatever you want to say, cheating, Deflategate, Spygate type stuff, because they just cannot stop winning. They're allergic to losing, where I feel like the Astros could win, keep winning, and prove that, hey, we don't need this. But like you said, at the same time, and I kind of just said about, like, if he went 4 for 5 on opening day, you're feeling like they're only winning because of something shady that may still be going on.
Yeah, like this is going to loom over them for the whole season. Yeah.
Especially because the punishment that was given down really wasn't that bad.
Oh, well, the players got
got nothing. So if they could figure out how to continue cheating and they know they're not going to get in trouble, then why would you, if you don't have a heart or any integrity, then why would you not continue to keep doing it?
Right. There's almost like, that's a great way to put it. There's almost no incentive to stop cheating. Like, what's the incentive to stop?
If you're a player, if you don't care about your integrity, I don't think there's any incentive to stop.
Exactly.
That's what's problematic about this entire thing.
Bang.
And we wanted to talk. I also wanted to talk about the AJ Hinch interview that came out a few days ago, but then we had this press conference this morning that kind of took over. But the Hinch interview was incredibly revealing as well. A lot of the talk is also about what has happened in 2019 as far as the buzzers. So when the buzzers allegations first came out, frankly, I thought they were that was kind of a joke. I really didn't put much.
It just seems so stupid. It seems so
far-fetched.
So lucrative
seems
for just
lucrative.
It seems lucrative.
Doesn't lucrative mean like I make money?
Lucrative's like it takes a lot of time and effort to do something.
Isn't lucrative like, oh, like this this job is like lucrative for me. It's like making
So it takes
money.
a lot of time and effort to do something. That job takes a lot of
I don't know.
lucrative. Yo, Jamie, pull it up. No, we don't have a Jamie. Sorry. Lucrative. Producing a great deal of profit. Okay, you might be right.
I feel like you don't know what lucrative means.
No, like hold on. Well, that's the adjective form.
I feel like lucrative is totally just about making money. I love that we can just look this up though.
Yeah, I'm wrong.
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about?
Acquired, received, or had without burdensome condition or giving of consideration. Yeah.
My man's, you gotta be a teacher, right?
Yeah, but I can't spell for shit, so that's a problem.
Yeah, I guess so.
I can't wait to write on the board and have like all the kids be like,
what are you talking about?
like, yeah, that's not right. Just like
Being corrected by your students.
Oh, it'll happen.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not a teacher. You're not a teacher yet, so I guess it's okay. But
shout out to Erica.
Yeah, sure, the only teacher that I know. So with AJ Hinch's interview, he was asked about the buzzers and was also asked about the allegations about like the whistling. So the Yankees basically were saying that, hey, we hear this whistling coming from the dugout in 2019. And that's why in that ALCS last year, he had that very ridiculous sounding press conference where he was saying, you know, frankly, in all reality, it's a joke to think that like we're cheating and that these allegations are ridiculous. So he was asked about that statement, and he is vehemently denying the use of whistling in regards to that statement. So notice how he vehemently denies the whistling allegations here.
The accusation was that you were getting signs and relaying by whistling to the hitter.
And we weren't. When I sat at that podium, I'm going to defend this group of players, and that's my job, and that's how I felt. And I didn't like the line of questioning. It was uncomfortable. I came out firm. It was talking about 2019, and then when the investigation started, and we started getting investigated about 2017, I know it looks bad because it kind of gets blurry in the entire organization over the course of a few years.
Notice how when he says, you know, we weren't whistling. He's defiant that they weren't whistling. Then, when asked about the potential use of buzzers in 2019, he is not defiant. If you didn't use buzzers and you knew you didn't use buzzers, he would
just say
no,
we didn't use buzzers.
Like, that's a ridiculous allegation. That's like, that is affecting like my integrity as a person. That's completely over the line. There's no way that we did that. Instead, when he was asked about the use of buzzers, this is how he answered that question.
Can you assure us there were no buzzers or anything like that being
Well,
used?
the commissioner, we got investigated for 3 months, and the commissioner's office did as thorough an investigation as anyone could imagine was possible. I mean, I know he mentioned the emails and the texts and the messages, and I believe them.
What do you mean you believe him? You were the one that was doing the whole scheme. It was you're the one who's supposed to know, and he didn't say no.
To paraphrase what he was just saying, I feel like he was just saying, because MLB did this investigation and didn't find any evidence of buzzers, we didn't use buzzers. I feel like he's just saying because we didn't get caught, I don't know. I think that's what he's saying. Because we didn't get caught, like, I'm not going to say, mum's the word, mum's the word.
I didn't think that they used buzzers.
Until that.
And now I think there's a large possibility that they did because of
crazy. That. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? What the hell is going on with baseball?
Who is in charge of Astros PR? Like, if there's anyone that needs to be fired,
well, he's not even associated with the Astros anymore.
I know, true, but just in general,
sure,
the way that they've handled everything.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, such a slimy organization. So slimy. I'm not happy with all this.
So
it's weird.
At least Carlos Correa seems to be on the real defense this morning. He's definitively said that no one has worn devices. He says he says, quote, stories keep coming out. If I'm lying here, I'll lose credibility. That's not what I want to do. Straight up false. Nobody wore anything. So Correa came out and he put his money's where his mouth is there. Right? So he's saying like that we totally didn't. That's what I was looking for from Hinch.
So now that he just said that, if buzzers come out, Correa's not getting in the Hall of Fame.
And he's a clown.
He's not getting in officially. And he's totally, if buzzers are now proven
he's got a long way to go anyway, but he's very young.
He's very young, but like his numbers are there. His numbers are totally there. He just needs to have the consistency and the longevity to get in, but his numbers are there, man.
He's a one-time All-Star, and he was a rookie in like 2015. So yeah, Rookie of the Year in 2015. He's a good player. But
yeah, he's a good player. He's a good player.
He's a long way to go. But I understand the gist of what you're saying. Remember how defiant Ryan Braun was about not using steroids, right?
Oh my God, that was such a dumb incident.
When Aaron Rodgers was like, yeah, I believe Ryan Braun. Like, if Ryan Braun isn't telling the truth or he did use steroids, like, I'd donate half my salary or something.
Yeah, he was like, I'll give away my paycheck or salary, something
and
stupid.
Then the classic first take when they find out that Braun like was cheating, and then Skip Bayless is just like, I believe Aaron Rodgers should give away half his paycheck. And Stephen A. just like, are you crazy? Are you on drugs? But those are just classic first take moments. But, you know, for the most part here, it's just kind of incomprehensible what's going on. And it's really sad. Here's the thing that's been bothering me the absolute most.
About the Astros cheating scandal?
About this entire thing.
The whole thing. Okay.
I think Rob Manfred over the last year and a half has proved that he's an absolute clown. I think he has no idea what people care about in the baseball community. I think he's incredibly tone deaf, and I think he's shady, and I think he's a liar. Honestly.
Wow.
I think
that was mean.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm indifferent on the guy still.
Here's the thing. Look back to the baseballs. The baseballs clearly were different this year.
Oh, sure.
Brett Gardner had like almost 30 home runs.
Yeah.
Okay. Pitchers were complaining they couldn't even get their breaking balls to break and their curve balls to drop.
Yeah, it's a tighter ball. It's a harder ball. It's just going to fly farther in the air.
And
it's more aerodynamic.
The numbers were just so obvious. You just watch baseball and you're like, all right, this guy just flied out to center and the ball's in the 5th row. Everyone in their brain knows that there's something fishy going on with the balls. And Rob Manfred's coming out and saying, you know, I don't really know what's going on with the balls. Like, you know, we're having our scientists test them.
Just fucking say we modified and changed the balls. Just say it, right? Just say it. We changed the balls. We want to facilitate offense, so we changed the balls.
And also, how he's saying, you know, we don't really know what's going on with the balls. You literally have an ownership stake in the company that makes the balls. You know, you're the commissioner. How do you not have a direct impact on the balls that are being used? And he's saying, like,
makes the balls, Rollins?
Yeah.
Rollins makes a lot of baseball equipment, so that would be my educated guess.
And he's also saying, you know, you guys have to understand that every baseball is handmade, so some of them are going to act differently than other baseballs. Well, how come every baseball this year is acting differently than in previous years? Once again, people in higher positions that make more money than the general public treating us like we're idiots. That's ridiculous. And then
they've been doing that
forever.
For the dawn of time.
Forever. And it just pisses me off because it's about sports and it's in sports. And
so we care about it. Yeah, because we care about it. Because fuck what's actually going on in the real world. It's all about the sports world.
Yeah, exactly. This is clearly bigger and more important. That's why also I don't necessarily believe, and this is a big conspiracy, but what could be happening with the Sox investigation and further investigations. So the investigation about the 2019 season and regarding the buzzers, that was such a quick few days investigation where it's like, you know, we didn't find any evidence. I think there's a possibility that Manfred either knows something happened and doesn't want to say it in the investigation or doesn't want to try and find out what may have happened. Because
I think the latter is for sure on that.
Because if there was evidence found that they were using buzzers, that would be horrendous.
Right, you don't want people to know. You don't want people to know.
That's something you want to keep down.
Manfred.
I don't.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I literally sound like I feel like we're now officially the guys on like New York Sports Talk Radio who just talk about like they're like just like crazy shit, like conspiracies. Like we're now doing that. Like and it feels believable. It's crazy.
It's believable.
It feels
That's
believable.
the upsetting
it's
part.
It's really crazy. Weird.
I think Manfred's in a really tight spot here because he's got the people that were affected by it and not affected by it. Everyone is coming down on him right now.
Speaking of,
he's got a lot of pressure from the owners to do that. You know, and a lot of pressure from the Players Association. He's got to figure this out quick. He could be out of a job.
Speaking of Manfred, how about his idea to totally distract everyone from the Astros cheating scandal by releasing a proposed revised playoff format?
So I'm gonna correct you on this to a certain degree. I really believe that he did not release it. It was leaked.
Okay, you think it was leaked?
Because this is not something that they wanted to get out because they're entering a new collective bargaining agreement soon. It looks horrible for baseball to release this without even showing the Players Association this.
For sure. I think they did it.
That's not something they wanted. And here's the thing why I also don't believe they did it. It took 1 day for us to forget about it. Took 1 day
took 1 day, I guess.
This cheating thing is not going away anytime soon. And if all that did was distract people for maybe 1 or 2 days, and it got the Players Association pissed that it came out. Just because we're talking about this for a while, just a few more things.
Yeah.
On this before we move on to discussing the playoffs. I think this honestly definitely proves that the Mets were right to move on from Beltran.
Yeah, you have to.
Imagine if we were just reporting to pitchers and catchers right now and all this stuff was continuing to come out.
Yeah, we talked about this in a few shows ago. This is why you had to fire Beltran.
You had to.
This was the reason why, because you don't want to fucking deal with all the fallout from this Astros thing, from the Red Sox thing. You don't want to deal with it. So the Mets did the right decision. You had to do it.
It just sucks that we hired him to begin with, and it makes you feel like, did we really do our research hiring him in the first place?
Yeah, I feel like you did. I feel like this is such a hard thing to uncover.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to ask the guy, hey, were you guys cheating? He's not going to say, yeah, totally. We were totally cheating. You know? I don't know.
I feel like that they had to ask him about it because there were definitely rumblings about it, especially in the baseball world.
Maybe they just didn't want to know. Maybe they just didn't want to know.
That's why the Mets are clowns. Why are you going to hire someone like that if you don't know that they could be involved in an incredibly detailed cheating scandal? And because it came out the other day too that, you know, there were reports that Brian McCann, who was a respected veteran, was trying to be like, you know, I don't want these signs. We should stop doing this. And Beltran walked all over him.
Could totally see it.
So I'll finish this conversation with two questions. One, how do you think the Astros season is going to go this year?
I think the Astros are going to win the division.
I think that they're the favorite.
Yeah.
But also,
I really hope the Angels finally get it done. Like, how shitty is it that we've seen Trout in one playoff series?
He's never won a playoff game.
Right. Yes. It's just like we need the best player in baseball to play in October, just healthy for the game. That would be good this year. Really good this year.
That also leads into our next topic. But
cool.
I'll say that I think that the season is going to be a long season. There's going to be a lot of brawls. Pitchers are going to be pissed. And anything that they do is going to be led with skepticism. And then my other question is, how do you think this is going to affect the baseball season in general? Do you think that people are going to forget about it and be able to just focus on baseball? I think eventually you'll be able to focus on baseball, except when something specific to the Astros comes out or the Astros are in the postseason.
Yeah, I think there's going to be rumblings throughout baseball the entire season with the scandal. But I don't think it's going to be the front page story every day or every game. Just like what you said, if new information comes out, then it's going to be on the forefront of everyone's mind again.
Yep.
I think we also have to remember that there's more teams than just the Astros, and like people are fans of all these other teams.
Yep.
So like if you're a Brewers fan or like a Rays fan, you're not necessarily going to be following.
The Rays lost in the playoffs
Sure,
to the Astros.
I get that. I knew you were going to say that. But at the same time, you're not necessarily going to be like following what's going on with the Houston baseball team.
Baseball is an incredibly regional sport.
Right, exactly. You're going to be following what goes on with your team. Like, you know, like we follow the Mets, Yankees, and Red Sox because we live in this area, but you know, we don't really tune into what the Dodgers and Angels are doing.
So, like you said, whether or not it's a distraction or not, we're going to move on from this just to talk about what did come out the other day about baseball, which also talks about the state of baseball as a whole, was the postseason format that was leaked the other day. And if you haven't heard, which you probably have, it's been a couple days, basically the leaked proposal for a potential postseason restructure in baseball that would happen no earlier than the 2022 season would be as followed. There would be 7 teams per league that would make the playoffs as opposed to the current 5. You would have still the 3 division winners and 4 wildcard teams. The number 1 overall seed gets a bye. The number 2 seed, which is the division winner with the second best record, would then get to pick which wildcard team they want to play in the wildcard round, which would be a best of 3. The other now remaining division winner would then pick from the remaining 3 wildcard teams what team they want to play in the best of 3, and then the other 2 wildcard teams play each other in a best of 3. I think the concept of picking which team you want to play is ridiculous.
Well, how about let's first talk about things we like.
Okay.
How about we talk about things we maybe like about it? I don't know. What do you like about it?
I like adding
wildcard teams.
Teams?
I would say that what I love about the current baseball playoff format is the sudden death wild card game.
A lot of people don't like that. I don't mind it either. I don't mind it either.
That is one of the greatest things baseball has added to the playoffs.
You know why, too?
Because it's so exciting.
It puts so much more emphasis on winning your division.
Yep.
And that helps the regular season a lot.
Exactly. It puts so much emphasis on winning the division, which is the ultimate goal to getting into the playoffs. First goal of the season, win the division.
That's always your goal.
Always the goal, win the division. And it puts so much more emphasis on that. I also like... It's like a Super Bowl format, sudden death, one and done.
That's what they were looking
really
for.
Exciting.
They wanted the one and done in their game.
That's really exciting. Really, it's great for baseball. Think of all the exciting wild card games we've had since they've instituted.
Look about last year.
Right, exactly. They're great. So I think adding wild card teams is a good thing because the one game wild card game is exciting. It's very exciting, and having more teams in sort of harpers back to what we're saying about Trout, how the Angels can never get into the playoffs because there's just a team that's always better than them.
This is the way to get them in the playoffs.
This is the way to get them in.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's a couple things I like about it. I don't know. What else do
you like the concept of picking which team you're going to play?
I hate that.
Here's the thing.
What is it? What are we like? This is schoolyard kickball? Like, I want to play against that team. It's like, are you kidding? No, dude. I think that devalues winning your division. It just like devalues sort of like, it's just weird. I think it's odd picking your team. I don't like changing the DS format to a best of 7.
Well, that's not in the current proposal.
Right.
So
No,
I'll get to that in a sec.
that's like what Casas was saying.
So, I think that the concept of picking what team you're going to play, I'll admit, is a cool, interesting new concept.
It's cool, but I hate it.
But like, I'm not exactly about it actually being a thing.
It's just weird.
And I think it's really kind of, a desperate attempt to keep the new generation involved. But I don't think the new generation is all of a sudden going to be interested in baseball because a couple more teams are being added to the playoffs and division winners can choose who they're going to play. What's going to get people interested in the game is how the game is played itself. I think it's just kind of, like I just said, them trying to make it more appealing to the new generation. And I think this totally, yes, it's going to make the regular season more important for teams that might normally be like, we're out of it, we're just going to sell.
Yeah, you might have 80 wins but realize you're only 2 games out with a week left and say, holy shit, we're in it.
But what also it does is it devalues the regular season for the better teams.
Exactly. It's just weird.
So
totally.
what I'm paralleling this to is the NBA.
That's what I tried to say to my dad.
What the NBA is dealing with right now is that the regular season is completely meaningless.
Because half of the teams in the league get in the playoffs.
Literally more than half the teams.
Right, more than half the teams get in. Yep.
So they're trying to figure out how they can make, because their ratings have declined this year, they're trying to figure out how they can make regular season basketball more appealing. The whole thing is like the Celtics lost the other night. All right.
Who cares? You're still going to make the playoffs.
You're still making the playoffs. We're talented enough that we're still going to make the playoffs. So what they're dealing with is, hey, yeah, we got all these other teams that are competing and their markets are still in it and they're competing to make the 8, 7, 6 seed, but you're really just competing to be bounced in the first round, if not guaranteed the second round.
Right. I also feel like...
And just, I'm sorry, just to end that thought. So you're having those lower tier teams play more competitive basketball throughout the season, but you're having your teams that have your stars that you really want your fans to watch, and the most important players in your league, they're playing meaningless games throughout the entire regular season and literally taking games off. You know?
That's what stars have been doing. Why am I going to go all out in the middle of February when I could save myself for June?
Exactly. When you know you're making the playoffs. So I hope that this wouldn't kind of trickle its way into baseball where you're like, I'm not going to play. Well, it already is trickling its way into baseball to a certain degree where people are already taking games off for quote-unquote load management. The Yankees did that a lot last year. And Gleyber Torres is raking for the first 3 games of the series, home runs in every game, and then he sits because he's tired. He guy's like 20-whatever years old. So I really think that it could have a bad impact on the regular season, and I did a little bit of research about if this format was in place over the last couple of years, which teams would have made the playoffs.
That's cool. I like that.
Now, granted, everything would have shaped out a little differently because knowing that they had an opportunity to get in as a 6 and 7 seed,
right,
they would have approached the season differently. So take it with a grain of salt. But last year, obviously the Mets would have been the 6th seed and would have made the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
and the Diamondbacks
that's
as
funny.
well. In 2017, in the American League, the next 3 teams out were the Royals, Rays, and Angels, all finished at 80 and 82.
That would have been so exciting. So, like, what, do you need an extra wild card game in that situation?
Additionally, this new format eliminates tiebreakers. So there's no more. There would be no more game 163. Those tiebreakers.
I love game 163.
But those tiebreakers would be based on like head-to-head matchup, and then additional tiebreakers, which I kind of.
It makes well, if you're going to do it like that, you have to do it like that. You can't have a tiebreaker. Sure.
That year, 2 teams at minimum would have been in an 80 and 82. In 2016, in the National League, the Marlins would have been the 7th seed in the playoffs at 79 and 82. I don't know what benefit we're having by having that team in the playoffs. And
having a below 500 team in the playoffs doesn't seem right.
And in 2014, in the National League, you would have had Milwaukee at 82 and 80, and the Mets would have made the playoffs in 2014 at 79 and 83. 83 losses, Mets would have made the playoffs. I think the appeal about baseball is how hard it is to get into the playoffs.
Right. Totally.
You know?
That's why I like it. It's like if your team's not, and that's why the format now I love so much, because even if your team is teetering on 500, you still have a really good chance on that last wild card spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at the Mets season last year. You know, they were literally just like flirting with that last spot for 6 months. For like 6 months, they were like flirting with it after the All-Star break.
Yeah, 6 months is like the entire season.
Right. Sorry, it's like after the All-Star break, they were like flirting with it. It's just like I kind of forgot how short baseball was.
We were 40 and 51 the game after the All-Star break.
It's like
finished with 86 wins.
It's just like I don't know. It's interesting. I think I like the playoffs now.
So,
I'm a big believer on like if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Here's the thing, it is broke, whether you want to admit that or not. The ratings will tell you it's broke. The age of the average fan will tell you it's broke.
That the playoff format is broke.
That baseball is broke.
Baseball might. Okay, I don't think
so. They're
broken is the right word for baseball. Baseball's not broken.
They're in trouble.
They're in trouble because
unfortunate.
Right, but like they're still making a lot of money. They're not making probably as much money as they want to be making.
TV.
Right. Well, regardless, they're still making a lot of money. I think. Specifically with the playoff format, I don't think the playoff format is broken at all. I really like what's current, and if we want to modify it, I'm up for that. I'm up to modify it, but let's do it the right way. I don't think what was proposed by MLB is necessarily something I completely agree with, and I don't think what was proposed by Bob Costa is something I agree with either, even though he does make some really good points.
Yeah, so what if you didn't hear Bob Costas, I actually love what he had to say personally.
I usually love what he always has to say.
So if you didn't hear what Costas had to say, I really like it, because it's not what it currently is, and it's not as drastic as the other. So it's basically saying you'd have your 3 division winners and 3 wild card teams. The top 2 division winners get a bye, and then again we're talking about the concept of having to choose someone to play, which you can do again without necessarily. You can change this format and just have it where you're not choosing who you have to play, but you have the 2 division winners get a bye, and then the last division winner plays the lowest wild card, and the top 2 wild cards play each other in a best of 3 format. Then I like this. You're saying you don't like it. I really like the concept of the NLCS, or excuse me, I don't know why I just said NLCS. Just the LDS, the division series, being a 7-game series. I don't know what's the harm in that being a 7-game series. You're just extending the playoffs, and you're making it what every other series in sports really is. That's the only 5-game series in the major sports. And in this proposal as well, Costas was talking about shortening the season to 156 games, which is essentially just eliminating 1 home series per team. So that then allows you to have this room for the 7-game series and the division series and the additional wild card round. I personally think that's a really good. Obviously, there's room for tweaking all these things.
Sure.
But it's kind of in the middle. I liked it personally.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just hate that whole picking your team crap.
Yeah, I don't understand why we necessarily need to be doing that. But, and it's also, I think this is kind of a thing where they're talking about maybe wanting to help eliminate tanking, because teams will instead of, they'll think that they have a better shot at making the playoffs because there's 2 more teams that are being able to get in. So like, oh, maybe we can go for it this year and not just purposely be uncompetitive. But again, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be stopping them from doing that.
Honestly, like going back to the point that you said about how baseball is broken, you know, how do you increase the popularity of a dying sport? What are things you could do? And I feel like the best way to handle it is by doing a lot of indirect small things to change the game. A lot of indirect small things rather than like a couple large big things.
Yeah. So,
and then like these small things, whatever they are, will have a ripple effect, an indirect ripple effect that will maybe make the popularity of baseball better. I have no idea how you do it. Maybe you do it at the youth level of the game. What makes a baseball game fun? What are things that I like? Why do I like going to a baseball game? Because I like going to a baseball game because it's a great place to just chill out with your friends, have a couple of drinks. You can totally just tone out of the game for an inning or two and just talk with the people around you, have fun, have some good conversation, and then just look straight ahead and there's a game going on. It's just a great place to hang out.
When we went to the Mets-Rockies game on my birthday,
you didn't even know where you were.
I didn't even know what was going on.
You didn't even know where you were. And like that just goes to show.
But I still enjoyed the game.
Oh yeah, we were having fun.
And there was a John Boy video that came out of that game because when the bench was cleared. So that was funny too.
Do you remember like Dom Smith was like jogging to left field?
Yeah.
Or walking. Sorry, he was late. He was late onto the field, and Book and I were just screaming at him.
Just the concept of
Dom, what are you doing?
Just the concept of Dom Smith being a left fielder is hilarious. The guy has no business playing in the outfield.
Yeah. It's just like don't play in the outfield.
Yeah. But we regress. I mean, you're talking about making small changes.
I just don't know what you could do to make baseball better.
Here's the thing too.
You can't change like the actual integrity of the game. You got to do something with like the stadium, or make the food cheaper, or make events there. Like I don't know what you could do.
Here's why I think Manfred's a clown. He thought by juicing or whatever you want to call it the baseballs to allow for more home runs that would make people more interested in the game. All that did was make the entire game a home run or nothing.
It plays into analytics. Yeah, it plays into analytics.
Great point. It plays into analytics.
Which sucks because nobody actually likes fucking analytics. So real baseball fans, come on.
It makes the game less interesting. So the game, especially with teams like the Yankees, it is turned into a home run, a strikeout, or a walk. And that is not interesting. You're devaluing the home run. When Brett Gardner's hitting all these homers and teams are so many teams set franchise record for home runs, the home run isn't special anymore.
Right.
Like in basketball, right? The three isn't that special anymore. In football, passing for 300 yards isn't that big of a deal anymore.
Right.
He was under the impression that would make it more interesting because on social media you can post these videos of these home runs. But what about all the plays in the infield? Stealing bases. That's what's really
small ball,
interesting.
Man. Small ball. That's what baseball should
see.
play to. You got to play to like the strengths. Play it to small ball, man. Like people want to see gritty. People want to see sliding and diving and a classic pitcher battle duel. And even though it still happens, but I get what you're saying. The home run ball is just it's absurd now.
It's oversaturated.
Yeah, it's oversaturated. It's great. It's a great way to put it. It's totally oversaturated.
And then here's the other thing. You're talking about. You don't want to mess with the integrity of the game. Is that what you had said? You want to mess with the integrity of the game?
Yeah, I don't like doing any like super off the wall changes to the game.
So I feel like a lot of people have forgotten. You realize that this season the 3-batter minimum rule will be in place.
Yep, that's happening.
So
that's also
happening. I feel
happening.
like that's kind of been swept under the rug. There is a 3-batter minimum this year. Like,
teams are going to circumvent that.
That's what I've been saying all along.
I think that's what everyone's been saying.
How can you prove that someone is not injured?
You're going to be hearing the word muscle spasm a lot.
So God, that's such a good point. And it's like, I just let up 2 home runs and now we're down 1. We got to get this guy out of the game.
My shoulder's bothering me. I got a muscle spasm. Got to come out of the game.
So it's like, all right, how do you want to circumvent this? If he comes out of the game, then he's forced to go on the DL. But just because you have a muscle spasm doesn't mean that you wouldn't be good to go in a day or two. It's gonna turn into a joke.
Yeah, it's gonna that is a rule that has the potential to compromise the integrity of the game.
100%,
which is crazy.
No more like lefty specialists and all that kind of thing.
Right.
Although you can still bring in someone to like finish an inning. He doesn't have to face 3 batters if a half inning ends.
So let's say like a guy is on his 3rd batter. Mm-hmm. Could you take him out in the middle of the 3rd batter? Or do you have to wait for that bat to be done?
He's got to face 3 bats.
So do you have to finish the 3rd bat? That's what I'm trying to say. Do you have to finish it, or do you just have to? Right?
Oh my God!
Or do you just...
See, this is what opens up that Pandora's box that I don't think baseball is prepared for.
Yeah, I think this conversation, the main conclusion I've had from talking to you today is that Manfred has totally gone down on my respectable list.
I actually liked him a lot a couple years ago.
I did like him. It's because he was out of the news, and no news is good news.
Yeah.
And now that you're in the news, it happens to be all bad news. So it's just like, oh shit! It's like you're not actually as dope as we thought you were.
I'm totally of the belief that no news is good news, as opposed to all publicity is good publicity.
Oh my god, that's a total
all
no
publicity
news is good news.
publicity is such like, oh, if Astros are in the news, that's good. Like that's not good.
Like
at
if you're
all.
trying to make money, maybe, but at the same, if you're just trying to like live a happy life, no news is good news.
Yeah. Any other closing thoughts on baseball? 'Cause I did want to move on to a couple other things.
I do want to talk about a couple other things. Nothing else about baseball in particular. I think we had a really good discussion today. I think we could honestly go for hours and hours about
Well, we're gonna have a lot of time to talk about baseball moving forward.
Yeah,
for sure.
now that NFL football is over, but not XFL football, baby.
Is that my segue, or do you still have something else that you want to talk about?
No, I guess that was the segue.
That was the segue?
I was trying to be clever. That
Okay.
was cool.
Well, I ruined it. It's okay.
You did ruin it.
Yeah, I thought you had something else that you wanted to say.
I didn't have anything else.
Fair enough. So, yes, there is football right now. Did you watch it?
I did watch the XFL. I didn't watch any games from start to finish, but I tuned into 2 games. I watched a bit of the Dallas Renegades game, and I watched a bit of the Tampa Bay Vipers game.
The Guardians game. That's New York sports here. It's a big game.
Yeah, it could be. I think I'm right on those teams. And honestly, I was into it. I wasn't like obsessing over it, but I thought it was nice to see football on the TV. I think that's really what it came down to. It was just kind of nice to see football on the TV.
Did you like it? You did like it for the most part?
I liked it because football was on the TV, but like, did I actually enjoy the quality of the game? No.
I'll talk about the couple of things that I like. I think the insight into the coaching, as someone who's kind of a nerd with that stuff and has coached before, like I think it's really interesting to hear the coach's play call before it actually happens.
I think that's really cool.
So I'm listening to it, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, but it's basically they're like, we're going to go bunch left, something like Y out.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm like, oh, I know that there's going to be 3 receivers left or 3 eligible receivers left in the Y, which is the tight end. And he's going to run it out, and you watch that happen. So here's the thing: what if you had someone on the other team?
Oh,
I understand it's a tape delay.
Oh God.
And so the call would have to come in early. You could literally listen to the TV and be like, I know what it's coming, and then quickly relay that to your defense.
Oh man.
Especially because one of the other rules is that everyone on their headsets, everyone has a headset, and they can listen to their coaching staff through their helmet up until the play starts. As opposed to football, where only one player on each team,
right?
And it cuts off after 15 seconds before the play starts. That's a little Astros type thinking, but you could totally figure out a way to get away with that.
You know what I was thinking about while I was watching the XFL? How everyone forgot about the AAF.
Because the AAF was horrible.
Did they even play a game?
Yeah, they played like half a season.
They played half a season, then they folded. But like, I just think that's funny how like, I think it was like last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was last year.
Last year they tried to do a supplemental football league for when the NFL is not going on. Even though I get the intentions of that league were different, it was they were trying to have a farm system sort of thing, while the XFL is just straight up trying to be a professional league. I get the differences, but at the same time, it's interesting how the XFL I think is doing it right.
They're trying to do it right. They're doing it right.
They're trying to do it right.
And like the AAF, the rules were exactly the same as the NFL.
Right, and it completely
failed. The XFL definitely has different rules. So I wanted to say each of the main rules and then get your feedback on them. The kickoff rule. The kickoff rule basically is, I'm blanking on the exact yard line. I think
each team starts on the 40 or something,
the
right?
defense or the kickoff team starts on the opposing 35, and the kickoff return team is on the 30, while the kicker is on the opposite side kicking off normally. So he kicks off and has to kick the ball in the field of play from the 20 to the goal line, and the return team, who's at the 35 already, and the kickoff coverage team is at the 30, cannot move until the ball has been caught or is on the ground for 3 seconds. And additionally, if you kick the ball out of bounds, the other team,
the receiving
team will get the ball. It's like,
I think you get it like the 45 or something.
The opposing 45.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And if you kick the ball for a touchback, it's called a, quote, major touchback, and you get the ball at the 35. I think this opens the door for more returns, right?
I like it.
And less big hits, but it takes away no more squib kicks, Can't have a squib kick.
Right.
And the surprise onside kick. You can still go onside kick. You have to just alert everyone that you're
It's
doing
like, hey, we're
onside
doing
kick.
it. We're doing yeah.
Exactly. So did you like that? I thought it was
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
It's better than the NFL saying we're going to get rid of kickoffs.
It's
That's
okay.
for sure.
I think the rule change that I find the most interesting is the extra point rule.
Yeah, so that was the other one.
I think that's very interesting.
So extra point rule is when you score a touchdown, you can go for 1 from the 2, go for 2 from the 5, and go for 3 from the 10.
Teams have quickly figured out that it doesn't make sense to go for 1. Teams
were going for 1.
Teams quickly figured out that the moving back 3 yards for an extra point.
That's what
is
I'm saying.
huge.
I would
It's
so
huge.
much rather run a play from the 5
than the 3.
However,
that's what the trade-off is. People realize that those extra yards for the point's massive. I'm just saying.
However, I don't like the concept of going for 3. I don't like how a 1 possession is 9 points.
It's interesting. It's just supposed to facilitate a more exciting end game. You know,
Yep.
That's really
That's
it.
That's totally what it is. So you liked it?
Yeah, it's different. I only watched a couple, maybe 25 minutes. Like, it's okay.
So the punting rules were also interesting. Anyone on the punt team couldn't cross the line of scrimmage until the ball is kicked. So what that's doing is facilitating the opportunity for more punt returns and discouraging a fair catch. You can call a fair catch, but it's supposed to be discouraged because you would theoretically have a lot more room because the gunners can't leave before the ball is kicked. I like this, but at the same time, you can't have any fake punt passes that pass the line of scrimmage anymore. Kind of taking away little elements of the game, but it does, again, add for more punt returns.
Yeah, I mean, I'm indifferent on like most of these rules. They seem fine. I guess I just need to watch it more, and I want to see like crazy shit happen with these rules. Like I want to see crazy stuff happen, like a weird play that would never happen in the NFL because of these rules.
So
that would be fun.
The rule that everyone's talking about is the double pass rule.
Cool.
I think it's a joke.
I think it's cool.
I think it's a complete joke, and it's impossible to even. Like, how do you even run a play like that?
That's what I want to see. That's why I think it's cool. I want to see an offensive team like figure out a way to scheme with that rule, and I think it would just throw a defense off so much. I think it would be fun to watch, but I just want to see it in action before I really have an opinion.
So I think the teams this week, they were just trying to figure out how to run normal plays. Because no one even attempted it. They were just trying to get on the same page as a regular football team.
Half of these guys on these rosters haven't played a game of organized football in 2 or 3 years. Some of these guys maybe might be practice squads or Canadian football teams or whatnot. But like a lot of these guys haven't played since college or something, and it's just like, you know, this is my fun.
I love seeing Aaron Murray shit the bed. Played awful. I never liked him. That was really funny.
And you think Landry Jones is going to take over the league?
He's supposed to be the face of the league. He didn't play last week. The Renegades are the favorites to win. The Dallas team is the favorite to win. They won't win because of the Dallas team.
DC Defenders all the way, man.
Did they win?
They did win. That's my boy.
Is that the Cardell Jones?
That's the Cardell Jones team, but that's also my boy Scooby Red's on that squad.
Okay. I mean, I did watch
and Matt Jones, I think, is on that squad. Yeah. And like, I do know who Matt Jones is because he torched the Eagles.
Yeah, and like Lance Dunbar is on the Dallas team too. There's definitely like Sammy Coates is on some team.
Elam.
I never recognize it.
He was a first round safety. That was a huge buzz. He was drafted in the first round.
I'm just trying to think of how you would utilize the double pass rule. Like, would you throw a screen pass? Oh, here's the other. That's what I was thinking of. When you're running a pass play, you can't like make contact with the receiver down the field, right? Like that's illegal contact or holding, right? But when a pass is thrown, you're rallying to the football, then it's fair game. But if there's another pass that's allowed, can you hold the receiver? Can you make contact with the receiver downfield? Like, I don't understand that.
I don't either. That's why I just want to see it in action first.
That's a good.
I just want to see how it works.
It's going to be officiated.
I want to see how it looks and how the play works.
Yeah.
And I want to see it work. If a team tries to run it and it's just incomplete, then like that's a dud. But I want to see it work and then be like, okay, this is interesting. How did the defense react? Like what's going on? Like what was the play? I don't know.
Biggest thing that I thought got from the league by far, and I think this is what the NFL needs to do immediately. We need replay transparency.
Oh, it was great. It was phenomenal.
Being able
really
to see the conversation and get exactly in the head of the replay official so you know exactly why they're making the call is what the NFL needs, but they don't want it.
I think it's the smartest thing the XFL did.
100%, but they don't want it.
Right. Of course not. You think the NFL wants that?
Imagine listening in on the officials making the call on the Des Bryant play. Like,
oh, Lord.
I would literally be having an aneurysm.
You would break your TV.
Like, I almost did anyway.
Right. That's amazing.
Think of all the controversial calls, and you'd be able to listen to the rationale behind the BS.
There's way too much more money on the line with the NFL.
That's why you need the transparency.
But that's why they don't want to have it.
God, NFL is so shady. I hate them so much. It's so shady.
Right? That's crazy.
All these leagues are so shady. It's so annoying. So I'll pose the question to you. Are you going to watch next week?
I'll tune in.
That's the whole thing. You're never going to schedule your day around it, but like I'll tune in if I'm home and it's on.
Right.
And the thing that I was looking up is we all knew that they were going to get good ratings week 1, but it's all about sustaining the ratings as you move on.
Not all the teams played on week 1, or did all the teams play on week 1?
Only 8 teams.
Okay, so right. Okay, right. So yeah,
so
all
there's always going to be 2 games on Saturday and 2 on Sunday.
Okay.
It's
cool.
It's a 10-week regular season, 10-game regular season. So right at their crunch time of their season, they're going to deal with some really interesting competition, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how the XFL stacks up against some of the bigger sporting events. So right now, the only thing it's really going to be competing with is like regular season basketball and football, or regular season basketball and hockey.
Right.
In week 7 for their season, they're going to be dealing with the round of 32 for both days in March Madness. And we all know that's all day basketball. And
March Madness is the greatest.
Particularly round of 32. It's all day basketball.
It's the greatest 2 weeks in basketball in sports. My opinion.
Week 8 for them is the Elite 8. So they're going to be going up against that. And then week 9 for them, at least Saturday of week 9, they'll be going up against the Final 4. And then week 10, which is their final week of the regular season, I understand that it's golf, but Saturday and Sunday is their last weekend, and that's Saturday and Sunday of the Masters.
Right.
Now, it depends on who's in and your interest in golf, but I think it's going to be really interesting to see.
It's a great point. Those are great points. They're going to compete with March Madness, and they're going to compete with the Masters, and it's interesting to see how the ratings do. Great point. Because I'm going to watch the Masters, and I'm going to watch March Madness.
Before we end about the XFL, did you happen to listen to Antonio Brown's interview on Hot 97 the other day?
Yeah, I did check it out.
Did you actually? Because I listened to the whole thing.
I didn't listen to the whole thing. I just listened to some sound bites.
Absolutely hilarious. The guy has no clue. But just speaking of the NFL, Peter Rosenberg asked him if he'd ever play in the XFL, and he said, quote, "I'm too swaggy for the XFL." I think that's an amazing quote. I love that quote. So anyway, we're going to move on to
God damn it, Antonio Brown.
We're going to move on to what grinds our gears, other than all the things. But I think most of the stuff we just talked about grinds our gears. But we're just,
the whole show, though, was just an episode of grinding our gears.
Gears being grinded. But we're going to give our official ones right now.
You know what really grinds my gears?
What grinds your gears, Zach?
Jerseys in the NBA.
Elaborate.
I was actually a big proponent of the multiple jerseys. I liked it. Everyone has a home and away, and an alternate, and like maybe a second alternate.
And a Christmas Day, and a Chinese New Year.
That's even going over it. But it's like having an alternate's okay. We've gone completely overboard to the point where I don't even know who I'm watching. It's ridiculous. So like, this came to the other night when I'm watching the Clippers at Philadelphia. Philadelphia's floor and main color scheme is blue. The whole floor is blue. They're playing at Philadelphia. The Clippers are wearing blue jerseys that are the same color as the Sixers.
Exact same color.
And the Sixers are wearing red. What are we doing? Like, I don't mind the concept of two dominant colors. I think you can go away from having
like needing
a white for every game.
I like the white. But I'm a big white guy.
It has to be.
Nobody thinks about the whites.
Nobody cares about the whites.
Yes, nobody cares about the whites. Nobody cares about the whites.
But you can't be mixing up the colors to the point where you don't even know what's going on. I remember a few years ago, this one was the worst in my opinion. The Clippers played at Brooklyn, and the Clippers were wearing all black.
Ew.
What are we doing? That's Brooklyn's colors.
I remember a really bad one where the Magic looked like the Hawks this year.
No. That's become like they're wearing that all the time. They wore it again last night.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
They look like the Suns.
Oh, now
I
look
think
like the Suns. Yeah.
I was watching them. I was like, wait, when is Aaron Gordon good to traded to Phoenix? It's like, wait, what am I even watching? It's almost like they changed their color scheme, but are still keeping their old color scheme at the same time. They don't even know no one even knows what their jerseys are.
It's a great grinding your gears, Zach. I'm totally with you on this.
It's really gotten to the point where I don't even know what's going on, and I do know what's going on, but like I still can't even figure out what's happening. We need to just stop with the biggest thing is other teams wearing the primary color of the team that they're playing.
For sure. Yeah,
that is
for sure.
easily the most frustrating thing.
Whatever happened to you're playing at home, so you wear your home colors.
Which in basketball is white. You wear white at home. The Celtics wear their white at home.
I fucking hate that though. I don't care if that's like been the rule forever. I think it's so much easier if like the home team wears the home color, the away team wears the white.
So that's never been a thing in basketball.
They should make it a thing.
Like the Celtics
Just make it a thing.
The classic Celtics is white at home. Like that's the classic. Like
okay, so then if a team wants to wear white at home, then just have the other team wear their primary color. That's it. But then if that conflicts with the court or something, then like that's why just the home team should wear their color and the away team just wear white. I don't know, whatever.
Well,
it just makes it so much easier to know who's who.
That's why the Cowboys are special and different because they're the only football team that wears white at home. Like we kind of set that precedent and kind of just get away with it, but whatever.
Man, I bet you feel great that you're a Cowboys fan.
No. Anyway, that's my grinding gears. There's many examples that I could continue going on that, but basketball, they clearly just want to sell more jerseys. That's really what it comes down to.
Of course.
They just want to sell more jerseys.
Yeah, of course.
But that's mine. All right, Kyle, so I'm going to ask you the question.
You know what really grinds my gears?
What grinds your gears, Kyle?
So this weekend, we had the University of Colorado head football coach. There were some rumors coming out. Well, as we know, the Michigan State football coach, Mark D'Antonio, resigned or left. He left, whatever. So they have a vacancy at their head football coach.
That was your grinding your gears last week.
Right, that was my grinding my gears last week, which is hilarious. But now they have a vacancy, so they need to hire a new coach, right? So the head coach for the University of Colorado, Mel Tucker, his name came up because he has ties to Michigan State, as well as he completely revamped the Colorado football program. They made them a contender.
They've been good recently.
He made them a contender, right? So on Saturday, rumors start swirling that he might take the Michigan State job. So he comes out, Mel Tucker, on Twitter and says, "While I am flattered to be considered for the head coaching job at MSU football, I am committed to the CU Buffs football for the hashtag the build of our program. It's great athletes, coaches, and supporters. Hashtag unfinished business. Hashtag go Buffs.
5 days ago.
We are relentless." It's just so he tweets this about how he's so committed to being at the University of Colorado and how he wants to stay there, how he's built this program from the ashes into something, how he has great players, great coaches, great supporters, how he loves being there. And then literally earlier in the week, it comes out that he's accepting the job to Michigan State University. He's leaving Colorado to go to Michigan State because Michigan State doubled his salary and doubled his coaching staff salary. And I'm not mad that he's moving to better himself in his life.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with getting more money and wanting to better your family and better your coaching staff's families. Nothing wrong with that. It's just the manner in which he said, "I'm committed to Colorado."
You didn't need to come out and say that.
Right, you didn't need to come out and say anything. And this goes to show the massive just discrepancy that college football coaches face and college football athletes face. How a college football coach can just literally abandon his team, move on, do whatever he wants. You know, they're just gonna leave after the regular season and not even coach the bowl game. Grinds my shit.
Some coaches don't, but the coaches that do
are bosses.
Just like the coaches that do are dope, and the coaches that don't, it's just like I know what you're really about. You know?
Yeah, it's just how do you turn your back on the team? I don't understand that, and that's just what this is another example of: turning your back on the team and doing it in a really shitty way. You know, Michigan State's probably going to suck next year, and Colorado's probably going to suck this year. But speaking of that, Eric Bieniemy was now rumored to be the Colorado head coach. It's not going to happen. He went there. He went there. He was a running back there. So his name came up as the primary guy, but I doubt he's going to want to regress back to college when he's got Pat Mahomes and
head coach, though.
Just saying. That came up.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
That is interesting. All right.
That's it.
Yeah, all right. A couple of things that I wanted to touch on just before we got out of here. You know, the Knicks, since we last talked, they hired Leon Rose as their president, and you know right before the deadline, they end up dealing Marcus Morris to the Clippers. They basically just get back Mo Harkless for salary balance and a first-round pick, which essentially is a second-round pick. I don't know what you make of that, but what is hilarious is they hire Leon Rose as president, and they bring on this guy Steve Stout to be the quote brand consultant. So he goes on First Take, and it's like the first time that anyone's heard from this guy. And we're kind of all wondering even what his affiliation with the team is and why it's even necessary for him. Like, what is even his role? And insinuates that they're going to have a coaching search and they're moving on from their coach. Now, granted, it's kind of obvious that they were going to have a head coaching search and Mike Miller isn't the future of the team. But I don't understand why he needs to come out and say that. I feel like he didn't even realize what he was saying. After the first time that he speaks, he has to release a statement apologizing for what he spoke about, and the team president has to say that we don't necessarily associate with everything that Steve Staff says. He's a brand consultant. Basketball operations is going to make decisions. It's like, we'll leave it at that.
What does that even mean? What does everything even mean?
One statement.
What is going on?
It took them one statement from this guy to mess up. And they just can't do anything. Right?
They just can't do anything, right?
This is one, you can talk about the Astros not needing to say anything or like him not needing to say anything. No one's asking them to say literally anything. Just
whatever happened to keeping your mouth shut.
Way.
Keep your mouth shut
and not get out of their own way at all.
Incredible.
So I just wanted to say that
the Knicks will once again never be good for the next 15 years.
Oh my God, we'll see. Anything you're looking forward to coming up? We got NBA All-Star Weekend. Lillard is now out, by the way. Devin Booker is going to be replacing him.
I did see that. What am I looking
forward
to?
Dunk contest? Any interest in the dunk contest? Dwight Howard's back in it.
I'm not interested in the dunk contest. I'm not interested in any of the All-Star events, to be honest. I'll watch it.
Three-point competition.
I like the three-point contest a little more. I'm not sure why.
The skills competition, I think, is a joke.
I just watched a video on some guy attempting to do the NBA three-point contest, like just an average show guy, like one of us, someone who's good at basketball but not a professional athlete, and it's one of the hardest things to do by yourself. The time limit is so constraining. You're not even going to get to the last rack.
You're just launching. Yeah.
No, it's shoot, grab ball. You're not even watching. Even then, most people's forums or shooting forums are just not quick enough. It's crazy. It was really interesting to watch. It was by GQ. You would enjoy it.
I'll watch All-Star Saturday night, but that's pretty much it. But
I will tune into the All-Star game simply because I want to see what they do for Kobe and just any sort. That's literally the only reason.
I think they kind of ruined the All-Star game with the
stupid format.
Yeah,
that's so fucking dumb.
The 3 quarters.
So dumb.
And 3 normal quarters, except the score is going to reset after each quarter, and then we're going to donate like a charity amount to like the winning team charity.
The donating thing is fine, but
no, but you can just donate without doing that.
Right, exactly.
You can just donate without doing that, and what they're doing is they're having the score accumulate over the 3 games additionally. So why don't you just have the score accumulate anyway, and then they're doing the thing, whoever is in the lead, add 24 points to that, and that's the goal. First of all, it's going to take like 3 minutes. It's going to take so quick for them to score 24 points, but I'll probably tune in. I just think they could have done a better job for Kobe. So it'll be interesting.
They could have just kept everything the same, but just have some sort of tribute and donate stuff.
Yeah.
But they decided to completely revamp the format. I guarantee you a lot of people are going to start or tune in and be like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Oh, I know we're running late here, but I just did want to say this because I talked about it last week, just to revise the trade between the Red Sox and the Dodgers and the Angels and everything. So the trade did eventually go through, but the teams aren't getting what was originally talked about. The Dodgers trade Alex Verdugo, Connor Wong, who's a catcher, and then shortstop Jeter Downs to the Red Sox in exchange for Mookie Betts and David Price in cash. So instead of getting the guy who throws gas from the Twins, Brewster Graterol, he's going to the Dodgers, and you guys are getting, the Red Sox are getting the catcher and this guy Jeter, so now you got to root for Jeter, which I think is funny. And then at the same time, the Angels trade with the Dodgers with Jock Peterson and Ross Stripling just didn't happen. The Angels apparently weren't interested anymore. I don't know why the Angels backed out of that deal. I thought that was really weird.
So funny how we now have a shortstop on our team whose first name is Jeter.
Right? That's so weird. That's so weird.
Who names their kid Jeter?
It's a first name, yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, is his dad a Yankees fan? I'm curious.
Right, that could be interesting. I'll look into that.
The kid's probably our age.
Yeah, probably very similar to us. So yeah, that's interesting. And that kind of goes back to what we said about you can tweet stuff about trades and transactions and have it not be 100% true, but like with the Kobe Bryant thing, and people were saying, how come this isn't being reported? Because you can't report something like the Kobe Bryant thing unless you're 100% sure.
That's way too different.
Yeah, exactly.
Way too different. That's dealing with someone's life.
Yeah, so this is just like, we can say that Peterson's traded to the Angels, but didn't.
Not even comparable. Yeah, that's not even comparable.
Didn't actually happen. So looking forward to the All-Star game because it's sports, I guess, over the weekend. XFL Week 2, and maybe by the time we record again, we'll have some sort of ruling on what happened with the Red Sox and get some sort of conclusion with their investigation.
Yeah, the only thing I'm looking forward to is watching one game of spring training. And then just
the first spring training game, and then just waiting till late March. So
that's it.
All right, I definitely had a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, this was fun. Good episode.
Tired, Kyle?
No, just stretching.
Just stretching. Okay.
Just stretching.
All right, guys. I thought we had a successful episode. Join us again next week. Had a lot of fun, and Kyle, thank you for being with me.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Spittin' Facts with Zack
and Kyle.
Follow Zack on Twitter at SpittinFacts40 and continue listening on Anchor or wherever you get your podcasts.